day, good evening, good what have you, everyone. This is 372 Pages We'll Never Get Back. Michael J. Nelson here, along with Conor Listoka. Hello, Conor.
Hello, Mike. How cozy are you feeling?
I am curled up in a little ball. The microphone is on the couch with me. I have a mug of tea.
Is your boyfriend is stroking your head as you recover from your failed open mic night that you thought was going to be a big success, but
yes, is that as cozy as you
I don't know.
You've
transformed into a Zooey Deschanel manic pixie dream girl, I guess, is in my
coziness. No,
coziness.
it's because my waffle recipe failed.
Okay.
That's why I'm curled up.
Yeah, I'm cozy though. I'm hygge. I'm the Finnish hygge. Kalsarakani. There's all sorts of hygges levels we're getting into here.
What do you have to explain what you're talking about?
Well, hygge is Danish coziness. You know that?
Oh.
That was big about 5 years ago.
I did not know this.
Wow. You call yourself a Dane.
I mean, look, I know what apple skivers are. So.
It's
are those Swedish?
No, those are Danish. Hygge. Maybe you might have seen it.
No, where would I see it?
I don't know. Written somewhere. It was like for like a week or two. It was a big deal. And
then
cozy
movement swept through.
Yeah, the Danish coziness.
The Danish cozy
for whatever reason was the big deal of 2017 probably. And then 2 years after that, the Finns tried to make a go of it, and I guess obviously their word was too hard to pronounce. So.
Oh, so it's were they go to hell feng shui, and we've got a new thing, kind of?
I think so. I think it was just we cycled through those things, and you could buy a Gott Hygge mug from Home Goods to drink your tea out of.
Okay, well, I'm sorry I missed it.
All right,
will.
We'll find another culture's coziness for the next episode, and hopefully our mysteries will live up to that level.
All right, I'm still stuck on the Numa Numa guy, so I have not moved on to any new trend.
That guy's a senator now,
place.
I think.
Is he really?
No, I'm sure he's trying to record the next Numa Numa. I don't think he's probably quite rich, though. Anyway, we're talking coziness because we're reading a cozy mystery, and it's called The Quilters Push Back, Book 7 in the Miranda Hathaway Adventures.
Written by
Mary Devlin Lynch and Debbie Devlin Zook with Beth Devlin Kuhn.
So this is a 3-woman job.
Yes, it's very important to keep that in mind. 3 people had their hands in this pot.
I'll just, obviously no spoilers. We're going to go through this thing because this is the podcast where we talk about books we're probably not going to like. I don't know, man. I might be liking it.
Yeah, this one is quite enjoyable, quite charming. It redeems everything about the 368 page slog that was Ernest Cline's latest. It's write what you know, I guess, is what they usually say, and these 3 women certainly did.
And I will say we're not going to slack off. We're not going to go light on them. There are mistakes in the book, but it only pointed out to me because some of them are similar to Clinian mistakes, and you'll see when they come up. Mm-hmm. But it made me more enraged at Ernest Cline and his editor rather than these ladies.
That's awesome.
So we'll point those out when they come. But yeah, they were doing all the editing themselves, so there's bound to be a few errors.
Yes, definitely, most definitely.
Before we get into it, though, we have neglected to do this for a while, and that is to sort of
shower.
I haven't neglected. That's part of the cozy verse.
Okay, great. Yes,
is to use those big loofahs in there and just like more suds than any human could ever have. I assume.
Sure.
I assume that's the hygge. That's part of hygge.
I think so. That's very much hygge. It is in a sauna, of course, though.
Sauna, please. That's how they pronounce it. All right, so we haven't done an Amazon sort of calibrate with the with a reviewer.
Okay.
This is a reader of the book, reviewer.
Oh, okay. Of this particular book.
Great. And what else they
8 stars
reviewed.
Must be. I mean, there's no which is a bad review for a cozy mystery.
No, this this is reviewed as 4 stars.
Oh man! Wow.
So that's one of the reasons we picked it, because that supposedly is garbage in the cozy verse.
Taking it out to the field like the Office Space printer and just like heel kicking it. Yeah. Bats to the.
Yes. Oh. But no, this gentleman, there's a gentleman. I'm not going to say his name as a reviewer on Amazon, only because he has sort of a distinctive name, and it seems like a nice gentleman.
The Numa guy.
Yeah, I don't want him to get an email like, "Hey, some jackass is on." It would just be weird.
Got it.
That's not the point. Anyway, this gentleman gives it 5 stars, and he loved it.
Okay, well, good.
Didn't have much to say about it.
Okay.
So let's dig into some of the other things that he's reviewed and see what he has to say about that. And you can guess how many stars he gives it.
Okay. All right.
Okay. The Oysterville Sewing Circle, a novel.
God. 5 stars.
5 stars.
Yes.
Really great read. Hated when it was finished.
Well, there's probably 18 more in the series that came out last month alone. So.
This is, you can see why I don't want to, poke fun at this gentleman. Donated it to the library so others could enjoy.
Wow, all right. He might actually be a character in this book.
Could be. Knot on Her Life, Knot, a quilting mystery.
Oh my God. Not a furry mystery. Knotting is a thing with furries.
No.
Okay. 5 stars.
5 stars.
Okay.
Enjoy her books. Can't write them fast enough. Pass them on to the library when I'm finished.
And the library passes them on to the recycling bin out back immediately. Sir, we have Tolstoy books that people need to be checking out.
Yes, it's like the bookshelf that's in the building that I live. The free book, yes. Leave a book, take a book. Yeah. That tends to go to a place that nobody's taking any of these books.
DOS 3.1 for dummies.
Yes. Okay. A Lodge cast iron mini cake pan pre-seasoned.
This has got to be one of those things you only review if it disappointed you. 2 stars.
5 stars.
Gah!
Heat distribution. Looking for more recipes using this product.
Wait, heat distribution is a sentence?
That's his summation.
Okay. Not like an exclamation mark even. Heat distribution.
No, I don't really know what he was saying by that.
He probably got distracted by the next book in the Oysterville series.
That could be. All right, next one here. Let me see. Quilts and Quotes.
First of all, lazy name title, but as a cozy mystery, I've got to assume 5 stars.
5 stars. Great book. Love the whole concept.
Oh, wow. It's a conceptual one. So do you think it's like House of Leaves where there's missing pages and text goes the wrong way on the page?
I don't know.
That's all. I've never read that. That's what my assumption is how that book works.
All right, just a couple more then. You'll get the idea here about this gentleman who shall remain nameless. Meet Me at the Cupcake Cafe, a novel in recipes.
I would be hard pressed to imagine he keeps reading these if he doesn't like them. 5 stars.
5 stars. Love Jenny Colgan books. This is in my winter reading stack.
That means he's rereading it next winter?
I don't know. I guess when winter rolls around, there's the stack and he pulls it out.
Feel cozy, yeah.
The Loveliest Chocolate Shop in Paris.
Wow. 5 stars.
5 stars. Saving this for when I get snowed in this winter.
Well, have you read it, sir?
So that he's cheating us.
Yeah.
He's just building a stack that he's 5 stars. And then what if winter rolls around and things aren't as hooga as he thought it was? And he starts writing bitter diatribes against
people
these
will
books.
do that sometimes. Edit, this failed after a month, or edit, they reached out and sent me a new one. So maybe we'll have to check back after next winter to see if he's reevaluated.
Well, let me just give you one more then, too, that I think there's even more subterfuge going on with this guy. Do not trust him. A Child's Garden of Verses.
Oh, okay. 3 stars.
5 stars.
God.
Will be a great read when next we see the great-grandkids.
Well, that sets expectations. This guy's in his 90s?
I don't know.
Wow. All right. Well, okay.
So
I
there
hope
you
you
go.
make it to next winter, sir. That's
I hope you and your stack have a lovely winter. You liar!
that's incredible. All right. Okay. Yeah. So I hope he bounces them on his knee and doesn't actually accidentally read him the passage from Quilters Push Back where they where the pizza comes. That's what my hope is for the great grandchildren.
Well, I wish I were a part of his family because buying gifts for that guy would not be difficult. I think
Yeah,
he'd
no
have
kidding.
no problem.
Yeah, but you know he's an expert at faking that he likes them though, so you'd never know whether he was actually delighted at the.
Yeah, now we've put a wedge of doubt into the whole family's mind.
He opens up tiramisu and murder, and he's acting like it's the greatest thing in his world, and you see it at the bottom of his stack next winter.
Yes, 5 stars. I'm sure I will like it. I trust you, old man.
All right.
All
Well,
right.
it's always good to calibrate our tastes, and it's good to know that there are, men out here who enjoy these. I think there was some concern as we were reading this that we were just going to be two bros coming in here and trashing these 3 ladies, but I think I'm in line with his tastes more
That's
than
right.
what I thought initially.
This will be on my spring reading list. 5 stars. All right, let's dig in.
Yeah, which is very exciting. We read the first 10 chapters of the Quilters Pushback, which is, as we said, book 7. And there was some concern, I think, that we were going to be sort of dropped into this world, not really knowing what was going on. I think that did and did not bear out. I think we...
I think it's hard to tell.
Right.
We'll try to make that clear as it goes along. That's what I wondered. I think that this is just we're dropped into a writing style that makes you think you should have been reading
Yes.
a bunch of other stuff.
It is sort of like that old the college essay of, write page 137 of your autobiography, and just like or assuming you know what comes before it and after it. But I think that we might just be meeting some of these characters for the first time, or they could have been the centerpieces of the first 6 books. We'll never know.
Well, we will. We'll probably read another from this series.
Sure.
So.
Well, I think it starts with a Hall of Fame book opening. I just want to read the first 2 sentences.
Yep.
I do love weddings, and it's a good thing because these next few months are going to be all about dresses and flowers and vows, including my own. But first things first, which joins the illustrious pantheon of, I think, lines that would make anything better attached to them. As Gregor Samsa awoke one morning from uneasy dreams, he found himself transformed in his bed into a gigantic insect. But first things first. It was a bright, cold day in April, and the clocks were striking 13. But first things first.
It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. But first things first.
It is the first thing. You're making the choice.
Yes.
But that sort of paves the way for a book that is very much sort of written in like Christopher Nolan time.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, there is an Inception right away.
It's it does not really it does not commit to a tense, and you sometimes find yourself in a flashback within a flashback, or transitioning from one scene, like jumping ahead months in the future without it informing you've done that. So you're sort of looking back and forth to see what you missed.
And I wondered whether that was a deliberate choice, in the sense that, have you ever sat next to a kindly elderly woman on a plane or something, and you just don't have the heart to not speak to this person?
Uh-huh.
And so you get a little bit of that, is this your destination? Or are you ending up in Denver? Like, well, no, Tom and Diane, they live in Denver, but usually it's Jerry who comes with me. But Jerry had a knee injury, so he wasn't able to do it. So that's part of it. But then, so I'm going, so you're trying to keep track of future, past,
yes,
who's who.
Right.
So I wonder if that was just a sort of deliberate.
Who died in the Great War that she's,
right,
still talking about. Yeah, that's who knows. That could be. If we find out this was actually written by that guy reviewing all the books and these were his pen names, that could be a very clever touch.
Yeah. So here's an example of it, though. So it starts traditionally with the narrator is obviously the person we're going to get to know. It's a person and is narrating in the past, correct?
Yes.
At Christmas, my fiance Gabe's son Kevin, I was lost already,
yes.
announced that he and his girlfriend Terry, okay, so that's Kevin's fiance Terry, also told us the reason for the quick wedding was because they are expecting a child. Full stop. Double whammy. And so, okay, so then here it gets to the wedding, and here's where the first inception
And
happens.
the wedding is taking place on New Year's Day.
Yes.
But they got told on Christmas, so it's...
Since the wedding date was January 1st, weather was our biggest concern, but Mother Nature cooperated beautifully. Oh, great. So the wedding went off well. Even though there's a sparkling white blanket of snow on the ground, what does that have to do? That's now, right?
Right, yes.
The sidewalks are clear and dry. The sun is shining and the sky is blue. So now we're at the wedding.
Yeah, it's
happening.
Yeah.
We just got...
The book has been coming from
special
the wedding
effect?
all along.
Yes.
Yeah,
Stunning.
It happens a lot, and it's as we get to some stuff that actually could potentially, if you squint at it, qualify as action. It gets even more confusing. But we have mostly the first chapter is just dealing with Gabe's son's Kevin's marriage to Terry, and if you thought that was confusing, you've put the book down now because the characters are going to come fast and furious. The first, so we meet. She has another daughter, I think, Zoe, who also has a boyfriend. Zoe's also getting married, and so Miranda is getting married to Gabe as well. So everyone in her family is getting married in the next few months, which is great. You got to be happy for them.
The physicality of the wedding baffled me, though.
Yes, it was very confusing because they're in some sort of preparation chamber, or maybe in their hotel, but then they're watching the man walk to the wedding. Out the window.
They're watching from a bedroom window as Kevin, Gabe, and Michael, who is my daughter Zoe's fiance, walk down to the corner. A frantic search of each of their closets had produced navy blue suits.
Flashback, yep.
What?
They're also in Boston, where I don't believe our hero does not live. I'm not sure who else is from Boston. It's also very unclear that they're in Boston till right now.
You search your closet and you produce a navy blue suit?
Yeah, there's like you just do that thing where you reach even further back, like in a beer commercial or something, and you find the navy blue suit that's always been in there. Pull it out of Narnia.
Yeah. So, all right. So
Here,
we're
there's
a handful of characters, and I'm lost already. But anyway, so
this will help you. This will help you get a good mental image.
Okay.
Because you're concerned about Terry, who's getting married, and Zoe, who's about to get married. Yes. And she says, in a female Mutt and Jeff contrast to our petite Terry, my Zoe is tall and slender. So we have the bride. She says she looks like a princess, this beautiful woman. I don't think she's beginning to show, but the glow of an expectant mother. Hey, Mutt and Jeff. The cartoon from, I believe, started in the 1900s, like the first decade. So yes. This is revolutionary stuff. I thought if there was if gender swapped Mutt and Jeff had existed back in the 1910s, it would have been just half the internet back then if that was the case.
It is as out of time as in Avatar, the guy saying, which is like 24,
3230.
Yeah, saying we're not in Kansas anymore.
That's right. What
do you refer? Oh, that movie. Yeah, Mutt and Jeff. Wow.
How did it go over on your wedding day when you told Bridget she looked as radiant as Mutt? Because Lauren sort of just a single tear and a whispered "I love this man" type of thing.
I thought you were going to say Gasoline Alley, but you chose the perfect thing.
Throws the bouquet down. I love the yellow kid.
And the cats and jammers are walking down the aisle now and scattering petals.
Well, this is important. This is going to, I think you know what I'm talking about. But the wedding, not a big affair.
That is made clear many times.
She says, weddings can be big or small, but the most important word here was intimate. And she is not exaggerating here. That's a very important thing to them, that weddings are intimate. My wedding, I think, had 110 people there. She would have spat in my face if she had learned that was the plan.
But we get to, this is the first head shaking moment to me where I'm lost already who these characters are. And then we get this as a stunner of a paragraph. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
When the pastor walked to the altar, everyone was in place. Everyone being Kevin's mother, Susan, and her new friend, Richard, Terry and Zoe's thesis advisor, Barbara Franklin, and her husband, James, the manager of the hotel where Kevin works, Edgar Pendleton, and his wife, Rita, and Terry's college roommate, Jill, and her boyfriend, Alex.
And we've been informed that they know and loved every single person in this small place. So they just deep love and affection for Kevin's hotel manager's Edgar's wife, Rita. Just such a love that touches their soul for Rita. for the husband of Zoe's thesis advisor.
Look, this is not going to spoil anything, but this was the thing I was telling Conor before this program, that I read this list of characters. I started keeping track of it. I am told reliably that I might be missing one, but I think now is the time to read it. It won't spoil anything. But these are the first 10 chapters. These are the characters.
Wow.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
We have Miranda/Mandy as our narrator, Gabe, her fiance, Kevin, Gabe's son, Terry, Kevin's fiance, Zoe, narrator's daughter, Barbara Franklin, Zoe's thesis advisor, James Franklin, Barbara's husband, Michael, Zoe's fiance, Edgar Pendleton, hotel manager, Kevin's boss, Rita Pendleton, Kevin's boss wife, Jill, Terry's college roommate, Susan, Kevin's mother, Gabe's ex-wife, Richard, Susan's new husband, Diane, Mandy's best friend, Harry, her cat, Sylvia, a diner owner, Ellie, an employee, Charlie, Sylvia's husband, Devin, Lindsay, Ethan, and Gwen, unknown, Mark, David's husband, possibly, Christopher Abbott, he's a pastor, Lucy, Adam, Jeff, William, Janie, unknown, Trixie Belden, an author of mysteries, Martin, a drug dealer, Jenny, his girlfriend, Tom Gibbons, Gabe's FBI friend, the McMillan family, Peter, Irene, and Macy McMillan, James, print shop worker, Queenie, quilting leader, Brittany, quilting group person, Daniel, Queenie's husband, possibly, Emily, Queenie's daughter, possibly, Jack, Queenie's son, possibly, Harriet in the quilting group, Sarah, Harriet's twin sister, Shelby, a donut shop employee the twins take care of, Judy Smythen, quilting group person, Tommy, Judy's son, maybe, Jesse, Judy's daughter, maybe, Julie Sorensen, Tommy Smithens' girlfriend, Taylor, goes with Noelle below, Noelle, unknown, Max Ryan Sr., unknown, Lizzie, an employee at the tavern, Smith, the drug dealer, maybe, Carmen Rosell, rival drug dealer, Betty Hedel, hospital worker, Gloria, ER worker, Sammy, hospital worker, Archie, Jenny's dad, possibly, Janet, Jenny's mom, Dr. Walker.
My God.
And apparently I've missed one.
Someone else wrote in and said 62. So whoever got snubbed, I don't know how we'll possibly keep track. But so that's 61 characters in 12,639 words, 207 words per character in theory. But some of those obviously are just what you said is their introduction. You know, the Carmine Rossi or whatever, the drug dealer. One mention, move on type of thing.
Yes.
Queenie's son who's home from college, like one word and move on. But it needs it, like if you've ever cracked a fantasy novel like Game of Thrones, you'd open it up and it'd be 8 pages of, House Targaryen, and it would list people in sort of one sentence. Like it'd have that sort of dramatis personae.
Yeah. It's like I looked up War and Peace. I was hoping against hope that the first 10 chapters of this had as many characters as War and Peace. It did come up short, but only by about half.
Wow. All right.
So,
but yeah. So it does not skimp on any of that. And but then it's a mystery. So you're sort of left thinking like, who's it going to be? Like, who's going to have done it? You have a real rogues gallery.
I think it's going to be Devin or Ethan.
Right? Yeah, I was going to say we should have our leaderboard of who our suspect is throughout this whole thing. I think James Franklin, husband of Terry and Zoe's thesis advisor Barbara, is at the top of my list at the moment. But yeah, again, so do any of these people come up in books 1 through 6? We're possibly. We don't know.
Listeners, please read books 1 through 6 and let us know.
That's just a lot of people to keep track of, and we're probably not going to succeed, but it does strike me as delightful just to have this book of anything be the one that has, the level of Brothers Karamazov characters.
And but I felt an obligation to track them at first, and then I was like, well,
yeah, because they're all in the same sentence, so you don't even know who the verbs are applying to.
Right. Well, that's what makes me say, do I need to care, or is this the lady on the plane saying, Tom and Judy usually shovel her walk, but she wasn't available because he hurt his knee, and you go like, okay, this is not part of the story, I don't think.
Yes. But it does contain that sort of nugget of truth of like, even at your own wedding, it's like, this is, your parents' former neighbors who, moved when you were 4, but they're coming here for some reason. And you're like, I just, I haven't seen my friends in a while. I'm not going to give you as much attention, to be honest, Mr. and Mrs. Johansson.
Yes.
But yeah, so some of the characters that are very intriguing are Gabe's ex-wife, Susan, who is there with her husband. There's a bit of shade thrown. She looks at Miranda's engagement ring and says, "Not bad, much bigger than mine was. I guess I should have waited to be wife number 2." So we've got a rivalry happening here, but
it does dissipate though, right? She's like, "I'm kidding."
Yeah. But then it is New Year's Eve, and by the time they leave, Susan was wearing a jaunty pink hat that said, "Kiss me at midnight." You better believe we left well before then. So I think she's sort of casting aspersions upon Susan, even though her husband, so Miranda's husband is Gabe, an ex-FBI agent who we'll learn has been involved in some crazy stuff. But Susan's new friend, I think they said, in that sort of elderly woman way, is a retired 4-star Army general. He's traveled the world and plans to show Susan some of the places he'd been stationed on an extended trip abroad in the spring. So, traditional honeymoons, island in Greece or, Tulum in Mexico or something. He's taking her to Fallujah, Kabul, like Somalia. Like, yes, this is where I lost a bunch of men, Susan. This is really hard for me. I don't know why we came here.
And following swiftly on that sort of shocking revelation, we get we are now seated in a small church waiting for the bride. Gabe was walking Terry down the aisle. We were surprised that she had no one on her side of the family, but then Kevin had confided to us that her parents were killed on a ski trip to Europe. Kevin found the news article that said 6 people were killed when a huge avalanche swept down the hill in Zermatt, Switzerland. And so
it was considered a freak accident, and no further information was provided.
So this must be a part of the central mystery. Our killer is also causing avalanches in Zermatt, Switzerland, or something. So you don't really know whether you should pay attention to this or whether it's just a detail.
Well, you should not pay attention to it because Kevin has asked that we respect Terry's privacy and not talk about it unless she brought it up. We never would, of course. We've all suffered our losses. So you come in and you tell me that your parents were killed in a freak accident in Zermatt, Switzerland, in an avalanche, and I say, oh well, my dad stubbed his toe yesterday. We've all suffered our losses. Unless you have lost someone in the most insane thing you've ever heard about, you should maybe back down on the "we've all suffered our losses" talk.
Right.
But it's tossed off the most interesting thing in the book.
Right. Amazing.
I think in James and the Giant Peach, he has to live with his mean old aunts because his parents were killed by a rhinoceros escaped from the zoo and trampled them or something. It's like that detailed, but meant to be taken as a sincere tragedy.
Well, I flash back to it when in an upcoming chapter she describes some pretty mundane stuff and then says, the year was off to a heck of a start or something like that. It's like, not for those 6 people killed in the freak accident in Zermatt, Switzerland.
Right. Yeah, and it's such a a place that I've never heard of. I'm not I'm not up on Switzerland's version of Hygge or anything, but it's just a detail that makes it stand out that much more.
Amazing.
So now they're back in the wedding in real time, and as we stood and turned, I met Susan's eyes. They were filling with tears, and I know in my heart not all the tears were because her only child was getting married. Some of those tears were for the love of life that she lost. She knew it, and I knew it. I quickly looked away, and mentally added it. That's right, you cow. I won. I'm going to be watching Jeopardy later with this man.
That's right. It was good to hear that we got some blushing in here, because that's
nice.
Everyone turned immediately to look at the young man, who promptly turned beet red, causing a chorus of laughter. I mean, not a very big chorus, remember. We just have the hotel manager and his wife.
Right, yeah. The thesis advisor is probably a pretty buttoned-up person, too. So
yeah, that's true.
But that was, the group's even smaller, because that was during the Gabe's wedding toast to his son, Kevin, which was, it was a decent toast. Like, I'm not going to just mock everything in here. Came from the heart, it seemed.
Yes, he said as much, yes.
But Kevin's mother, Susan, opted not to come to the reception. I have to admit, I was relieved when Susan and Richard decided not to come back to the house. Terry said that they told her they had another engagement. So it's not only New Year's Day, it's also the day of their son's wedding. Somehow they have other plans.
This is a theme in this book is people doing things on holidays.
Yes, right.
Which will come up later. But the chapter end is a gag, because it's mentioned earlier. Chekhov's wedding song, I guess, mentioned earlier that she didn't recognize it, and I felt it was done sort of clumsily and curiously. Mm-hmm. Like, it's somewhat familiar, but I don't know what it is. And then here's the payoff a couple pages later. Finally, Kevin grinned at Terry as she placed her hand over her tummy. A wave of mischief washed over his face. It was You Shook Me All Night Long by AC/DC, Miranda. I blinked, then gasped. Gabe tried to cover his smile, but burst out laughing. That's how you end a chapter.
Right, yes. But it's also a sign that this book doesn't necessarily hold back on the horniness.
Oh, it's heavens no!
Surprised they weren't acoustic cello version of Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion or something.
I was surprised by that. I did not think that was part of the cozy verse.
Oh yeah, we heard that it all happened off camera, but I mean, I guess it technically does, but it's severely alluded to.
Coming up though, it's about as woo.
Yeah, well, I think that's the next chapter. Why don't we move right on to it?
Okay, yes. But get your fainting couch ready, everyone.
So this is Gabe and I spent the night at Zoe and Michael's condo to give our newlyweds the privacy. I admit I was tired, but Zoe wasn't, and we stayed up past my normal bedtime chatting about the wedding and plans for her wedding. I didn't bring up the subject of my own wedding, but it was on my mind as well. So it's rapidly approaching, not an exaggeration, that it's going to be 4 weddings and a funeral.
Right.
It just takes one more, and we're at that level.
I like how she describes her daughter, though. Knowing my daughter as I do, I nodded and smiled as she rambled on about Terry's wedding and her own plans.
Please, that was 6 hours ago. Are we still talking about that?
She's just eye-rolling her way through this nightmare.
Right. Yeah. Oh, now we got yours. Oh, it's probably going to want to have it happen on the 4th of July, aren't we? Snagging up all the best holidays. But speaking of holidays, they are driving back home to, I think, suburban or rural Pennsylvania, and her and Gabe start discussing. We were barely on the highway home the next morning when I brought it up. If we're going to get married on Valentine's Day, we need to make a plan. So that's a month and a half.
Mm-hmm.
They're flying by the seat of their pants here in the
Yep.
Quilters Guild. but like it's insane. I have a save the date on our fridge that is for April 2022, and that's one that was already rescheduled because it was supposed to be last summer.
Sure. Yeah. Well, what's the, this is Cutler, right? Is it Cutler, Pennsylvania?
Cutler, Pennsylvania Quilters Guild, I think, is the name of the whole thing. So
okay, yeah.
I assume it's a real place. I assume that's where these people are from. But still, like, it's a big industry. You don't just make these plans by the seat of your pants. But anyway, I wanted to verify that I'm not just being a wedding Scrooge about this whole thing.
Sure.
Even though all my life experience, like we when we got married, it was December 24th as we got engaged. We got married Labor Day weekend. People were sort of thought that was an accelerated timeline because it was 8 months or 9 months or whatever. Anyway, went to the dark web.
Oh, good.
The cozy corner of the dark web.
Sure. I'm sure there's an area roped off.
It is. Yeah, it is used. You must be this high, tall to get in. So Jeff can't get in, but Mutt can, or vice versa.
Right.
And they dissect cozy mysteries. Even more so than Amazon. They're even more popular on the dark web because, the drug use and murder and stuff doesn't have to take place off camera because it is the dark web.
Oh, but they're still considered cozy.
Very cozy, yes. It's. I don't question their means. I don't want to get doxxed or swatted or anything, and that's another part of this.
Sure.
So they leaned into this pretty hard. Turns out I am correct in that it is an inappropriate amount of time to plan a wedding just based on this reenactment I discovered.
Oh, okay. So you're saying that this will prove that 6 weeks is not enough to plan a wedding day on Valentine's Day.
Yeah, 100%. It is too much. It is too little time, too big of an ask.
Okay. Let's give it a listen.
Sounds good.
Hello, this is the Kelly Room, perfect place to host your special event. This is Brad speaking. How may I help you today?
Hi, Brad. I'm Gabe, former FBI agent. I was calling to see about booking your venue for our wedding reception.
Oh, well, first of all, let me say congratulations on behalf of us all. We'll be happy to host you. Let me just start a new reservation here. Name was Gabe, you said?
That's right, yes. And my fiancée is Miranda.
Gabe and Miranda. I love it. And what day are we looking at for the wedding?
Well, we've decided we're going to get married on Valentine's Day.
Always a romantic choice. So let me just fill that out. February 14th, 2022. Now, what kind of catering options are we thinking? We have contracts with a couple different...
Wait, sorry. No, just one. Let's go back a bit. I'm eager to hear about those options, but we're actually getting married this Valentine's Day.
Okay. Thank you, Gabe. Thank you. I needed a laugh today. Let's see. I'll put a catering list.
No, I'm serious. We're getting married in five weeks.
5 weeks. Wedding in 5 weeks. One of the most popular days for weddings on the entire calendar. we book up 10 months in advance at minimum. There's not a venue in this state that would host a wedding in 5 weeks. 5 weeks. You couldn't even get your linen rental contract turned around in 5 weeks for a wedding. Oh my God.
Well, if you're done, we can move on to...
I've never heard of anything so funny. Hang on, just hang on. Line. Don't go away. Hey, Dad, this guy must have his wedding here in 5 weeks. I know. You know, he could just book it like he's reserving like an airport shuttle or something.
Oh, are you okay there? Huh? Hello? What's going on? Brad?
Oh, thanks for the Heimlich, Dan. Oh God! I think I actually calling. No, seriously. Are you... Wait. 1 second.
Oh, now, who could that be? Okay. Oh, you know what? I guess I'm just an idiot. Okay. Never mind.
You're an actual human being. Wait. Oh, hey, wait. Hold on. Oh, text from Dan. That's on a Wednesday. Oh. Huh. Well, you know what? Wednesdays are slow for us. We can fit you right in.
Oh, that's great news. Miranda will be so happy.
So what were you thinking in terms of size? Let me guess. Large, with lots of distant acquaintances.
Get the f*** off my property. So yeah, there we have it. It's that guy seemed to think it was rather an absurd request. I'm just picking up on some subtleties in his performance there.
It sounds like that could have been real. It probably didn't even need to be reenacted.
Sure. Yeah. If there is
a transcript. Yeah.
Yeah. If that's a real venue in Cutler, so it could have been they're taping someone without their knowledge. I don't think that's a mutual consent state. So,
right, okay.
In terms of taping, you know what I mean? Like, California, you have to tell someone if you're recording their conversation.
And everywhere you have to tell someone if you're a cop, right?
Yes, that's it's the biggest flaw in our justice system. They really should have thought about that.
Back into chapter 2, I was puzzled by this. It took a couple chapters to figure it out, but I'm still in chapter 2. She says, in addition to the baby quilt we're making together, I'm crocheting a soft yellow baby blanket for our grandchild. You can never have too many baby blankets. I might have to go to the dark web and see if that's true.
That's true, yeah.
There's probably some universe where you can have. And you can't go wrong with yellow or green. Also a debatable statement. Mm-hmm. But the we're making.
Yeah.
It was just came out of nowhere, and it's like, well, chapters later we learn who that is, but that's I guess I didn't read the first 6 books. It's not fair.
Right. Well, in the beginning, they talk about the quilt that they made for Terry and Kevin's wedding, and I think that she said that she had done one part of it, and Gabe had done the other part.
Oh, so it is just Gabe and she who are making too many baby blankets? I mean, you can never have too many baby blankets.
Sure, yes, yeah. So, yeah, maybe Gabe's color is green and hers is yellow. But, yeah, he's we have an email to the effect later. But Gabe is not only a ex-FBI agent who's, like, busted up, like, international sex trafficking rings. He also loves quilting.
I will also point out that I'm sure you made the association. Gabe was a bad guy in the 1940s Superman series. Batman, sorry. We did both. So. And we made much sport of it and riff tracks. It just cracked us up.
Well,
get Gabe on the horn. We need the best there is in the business.
Yeah, at the very beginning, the villain is calling him up, and he asks for Gabe, and then he doesn't show up for probably like 3 hours of Batman, and then like towards the very end they're just on the dock or something, and there's a nondescript 40s guy in a boxy suit and a fedora, and it's like, hey Gabe, help me move that box. And it was just we hadn't watched them all ahead of time, but it was one of the biggest payoffs in comedy history.
Well, it turns out Gabe is a good name for a tough guy who gets things done.
Exactly. And so as they discuss their wedding, they have this request. It says, how many people? That will determine how large a venue we'll need. I'd like to have a small wedding, maybe not as small as Kevin and Terry's, but fairly intimate. How about you? So Kevin and Terry's was, I think, quite intimate. It's sort of like you go to a movie theater and get like, all the popcorns are gigantic, but it's like small, medium, and large. So you've got fairly intimate, quite intimate, when you're determining your wedding in this world.
Yeah, there a lot of talk about wedding intimacy, and other people are interested in what level of wedding intimacy did you have coming up. So this is a major concern of the Cozyverse.
Yes.
So it'll be fun to track that.
Right. Do you think people are living, laughing, and loving a lot in the Cozyverse? There hasn't been any mention of it, and I'm concerned they may not be doing either of those three things as much as they should be.
Do you think that the Eat, Pray, Love group, do they have regular brawls out in the street?
Yeah, I mean, they've sort of been supplanted. Like, imagine if you walked into an Airbnb and there was a cursive laser-cut wood of Eat, Pray, Love. You'd just be,
You'd lose your shit.
Yeah, right. You tear down the other laser-cut thing that says the name of the city you're in and break it over your knee.
Right.
Well, she does say this is going to take some thought. At least we have time. And I don't think that was meant as a joke or ironically. So maybe in this world, it is just 6 weeks is ample time to plan a small, intimate wedding.
Yes. Look, this is her world. She made it up. You're imposing your rules on her world.
I guess so. I am not the cosmos. I should relent.
Go feed your cat. Put on Jeopardy, order a pizza, and just
and
well,
let's get right to it.
Yeah, this chapter just ends with it starts super cozy. There truly is cat feeding.
Yep, Diane, her best BFF, had been cat sitting their cat. I forget his name, Harry, maybe.
Harry, yes.
But yeah, then. Gabe sort of gives Diane the cold shoulder. She says, like, how was the wedding? And he's like, I got to go take care of something. And then he comes back in and she's like, she certainly is a handful, right? It's like, she did you a favor, man. Like, I don't know. So maybe there's some history there or something.
Oh, I can't wait for the tension between Gabe and BFF.
But then he says, why don't I order a pizza? We can change and eat, then watch the Jeopardy we recorded from last night. But then she takes him up on that. Gabe came into the bedroom a few minutes later as I was changing. I'd pulled my comfy clothes out of the closet when he came up behind me and wrapped his arms around me. Now this is a nice way to take my mind off food. I turned in his arms. What part of me standing here in my underwear is nice? I know I'm not as slender as I once was. I blame it on middle-aged spread, parentheses, a common ailment over 50 and beyond my control. Which sounds to me like something that's pointedly put in for, like, a husband to stumble across,
Yeah, that struck me as Clinian. Like,
yes.
It's a common term. We know what it is, but like, yeah, we all have it. So shut up.
Right. Yes. But doesn't even need to expand upon that because Gabe is not deterred. The doorbell rings. I'll go get that. Or do you want to? He smiled and wiggled his eyebrows. So they're invoking the classic cliche of the pizza guy.
Yes. But that's only for briefly did I think, well, the Cozyverse is much different than I thought.
Well, 3 authors. That might be could be a recurring theme if that's.
Yeah. But no, it's a false start. They get the pizza, but then he says, how do you feel about warmed up pizza? My heart melted. Go get it and hurry back. We'll eat it after. After Jeopardy, he managed with a straight face. I looked at him, laughed, and climbed into bed. He raced to the front of the house.
Yeah.
Bonka checka wow.
Yeah. So page 12. I'm going out on a limb. I think it's a record for our books for getting some sweet action in. I don't think the Mister got busy this quickly.
Oh no, that had a lot of setup. Yeah.
So this is like a 16 seed winning in the NCAA basketball tournament. I would never in a million years have predicted this book would have been as sexy as it has been so far.
So two chapters, two good chapter endings.
Yes.
I'm happy already.
And yeah, so we'll come to see, but jeopardy is a major theme in the book. To my delight, because I'm not sure who's been listening. We probably discussed it on an early episode, but I went on Jeopardy like 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. So there's a distinct possibility in the canon. This book was this series is probably 2015 through 2018 that they could have been watching my episode of Jeopardy in their post-coital bliss here.
You talk pizza. About Inception. Wow.
Yeah. So
you're in the book. Conor is coming from inside the quilting book.
We watched this dork get his ass kicked by a guy named Pranjal. It was felt really bad for him. Felt bad for people who had traveled to watch him.
Wow, that is amazing.
Yeah, maybe we can do another. We can do a watch party of my episode with Patreon, and people can see how badly I did.
Sure. But I wondered whether the Jeopardy thing was. Again, it's come up a lot because it's a series of books. The Woodhouse universe, they go to the Drones Club and they throw dinner rolls at each other and stuff. And it's just in there. That's just what they do. And I just wondered whether that's the Jeopardy thing is that's throughout the entire series of books.
Well, yeah, or if it's if it's constantly a sort of stand-in or a euphemism too.
Yeah, I guess so. Oh yeah. Like watch Netflix and chill.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that could be. They could have invented that.
Okay, there it is.
But you got to wonder how again if that's if Trebek was the guy getting them all riled up. If they're just like, I can't do it. I'm sorry. Dr. Oz is just like it's just not working. Let's try it next week when Katie Couric's hosting. I think that might be what I need.
Chapter 3?
Yep, chapter 3. They're off to Sylvia's diner to meet Diane for lunch.
This is what I call the sauerkraut chapter. Pork and sauerkraut, if you'd like to call it that.
Yeah. Were you aware of this?
No, I'm still not aware of it.
Okay, right. So they go to the diner and Sylvia says, I'll be right with you to get your drink orders. Special is pork and sauerkraut. Or I have meatloaf with mashed in case you got your fill of kraut on New Year's Day. And so they elaborate. Even though we were involved in the wedding at Newton, we had put pork and sauerkraut in the crock pot on New Year's Day so that anyone who wanted could eat some or take it home for supper. How many weddings have you come back home with leftovers in a Tupperware, let alone pork and sauerkraut?
Pork and sauerkraut dumped in a bag. So is this a thing? It must be a thing.
We looked it up. It's a thing. It's we've always known that I believe black-eyed peas are a Southern New Year's tradition. Lauren makes them just about every year.
Okay.
Hoppin' John. And this is a sort of Midwestern Ohio, Pennsylvania, Germanic tradition of you eat those. I think New Year's night or New Year's Day.
Wow,
we had
pot pork and sauerkraut.
Yeah, a listener named Emily wrote in saying that she one time went to a New Year's Eve party, ate the pork and sauerkraut before the ball dropped, and was sort of like, I think given the side eye for the rest of the wedding.
Oh my goodness!
And for the rest of the party.
I did wonder though when she's talking about we put pork and sauerkraut in the crock pot on New Year's Day so that anyone who wanted could eat it. Who is she talking about?
The wedding reception, it was on New Year's Day, so they must have just had that back at the wedding. It was just a detail that wasn't mentioned as everyone was looking at Kevin blush.
Oh, so everyone was at the wedding thing was just eating pork and sauerkraut, or it was like a separate thing? Like,
well,
we know
not
you
everyone. Susan and her 4-star general husband didn't get any. But yeah, that was evidently, I guess, the reception food. It just wasn't mentioned at the time, even though this entire chapter hinges on it.
Okay. Well, then we have Diane's revelation, which not a picture is coming clear of Diane because we haven't gotten anything other than she likes to cat sit.
Yeah.
Or at least tolerates cat sitting.
Yeah.
Diane shares with us, I ate so much pork and sauerkraut on Saturday that I don't care if I even see it again until next year. I love it, but I always seem to eat way too much. Diane.
Please control yourself.
Yes.
I mean, both delicious. I'll eat both of those things. Not the sort of thing you want to imagine someone complaining that they ate too much about, because I have to imagine it has its consequences.
Right. I always eat way too much of it.
But
that's a cheap wedding reception, though, I do have to say.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. In a crock pot, just like on a table, the condensation on the top of it.
What's a can of sauerkraut,
Oh, man.
Our family brand sauerkraut or whatever,
Yep. Yeah.
57 cents.
Yeah. It's a plastic bag of it.
Yeah. And then pork, you get a pork shoulder or something on sale, 89 cents a pound.
Yeah. You get a Boston butt in Boston.
Yeah, that's a cheap wedding.
Yeah. You think if it was so small and intimate, they could maybe, go the next level and just cut up some, fillets or something. But no, I don't know.
Well, it's it's good thing that Diane was not at the wedding.
Yes,
just hogging all the sauerkraut.
Yeah, Gabe's sitting there looking at his FBI pension going down Diane's gullet.
All right, well, mystery solved.
Yeah, there's one more mention. It says, Miranda says, we packed up go boxes in case someone didn't have their own at home. I grinned. You don't take chances with tradition. So I think it's a good luck thing for the next year.
Oh, to pack up a bunch of pork and sauerkraut?
I think just to eat it a bit, but then, if someone didn't, I don't know. I think the fact that we both haven't heard about it, Lauren had never heard about it, it is sort of like stumbling across aliens trying to impersonate humans, saying this like it's a very common thing we've all read about.
Yes. Well, then we get another food that gets a lot of mention in this book, which I'm happy about. First of all, they're talking about the wedding size again, because that's what the discussion at Sylvia's Diner.
Yes.
Owned by Sylvia and Charlie.
Okay.
Employing Ellie. Yes. The size of the wedding. Where is it? Yes, we're aware, and that's why we're doing a family-only wedding, just keeping it small and intimate.
Yes.
Then a big reception at Kelly's. Isn't that brilliant? I mean, it's a thing. I don't think you invented it.
Sure, yeah. It's sort of it's kind of weird. I mean, it's especially because as we learn that in the next chapter when the wedding is taking place, but
right.
But anyway, to be honest, like that's you go to a wedding, and a lot of times these days they're over in like 20 minutes, and then it's on to the reception is like the 5 hours of fun. So like if you had to go to only one, you'd probably want to do the better one.
Yeah, there's a lot more pressure to go to the actual wedding. It's a little bit easier if you're a little bit distant. Otherwise, it's nerve-wracking. Then you got to, participate in things. You got to be on your best behavior.
Yeah, you got to be you don't want to be the first person to stand, but like, you got to be on your A game when you see someone else standing.
Yes. But then here's the other food I alluded to. That sounds perfect, really, Diane says. If you have the wedding around 11, then everyone goes to Kelly's for an amazing brunch and cake. Lots of cake. Exactly what Gabe said. And then she follows up. So this is the person who, whenever she always eats too much pork and sauerkraut. Well, I hate it when there's a huge cake and they only give you a sliver. So, again, Diane getting a better picture of who Diane is.
Right. But like, in what scenario, and this sounds like something that happens a lot to Diane. Like, I hate it when, like, that's not just like, there was this one time this happened and I was so irritated the rest of the reception. It's like she's encountering cake Nazis frequently in her life. Like, it's like the old, saying, when you're the drunk guy at the bar or something, like.
Yeah. Right. Well, maybe she's the sister of the guy in Office Space who never gets his piece of cake.
Sure, yep. Milton's sister. That would make sense.
Yeah.
And then one more food in this thing, which is one of my favorite transitions in all of literature. Next year at this time, my daughter will be married, and I'll be a grandmother to Kevin's child. How fast things change. No one makes meatloaf like Sylvia. I don't even try. We cleaned our plates in short order.
Wow.
It's charming, It
is a good transition.
It's the mundanity of these things, which are, nothing in this book is something that is like something you haven't done or recognize people would not do. You know what I mean? Watching Jeopardy. Millions of people do that every day. Not really the stuff that you put in a mystery novel or any novel. It's like that's what's so fun about like the James Wynn movies is you just have those moments that just do not warrant being in a 90-minute movie, the driving and parking, even though they're things that, it's not absurd that they're happening. It's absurd that you're putting them in this thing that you're meant to be entertainment for people.
Right. I mean, the word novel, the things you put in it are novel ideas, not banal ideas. Right. I guess these should just be called banal.
Right. Yeah, a cozy banal.
But I just want to, just a paragraph above it. Here's the way information is meted out, and this is why you'll see you never know which to take note of and which to dismiss. Devin and Lindsay were both home over Christmas, but left right after because they had plans with friends in New York for New Year's Eve. I tried not to think about them being in that giant horde of people crammed into Times Square at midnight. Is that an important detail? Ethan's still home. He and Gwen are leaving on Friday. Their classes start again next Monday. They've had almost 3 weeks off between semesters. Is any of that important? Should I take note of any of that?
It's like an entire book of Jim Dalen introductions. Yes. Like, I'm Jim Dalen. My sister's here in the van outside. Her brother,
Yes.
Well, I mean, she's concerned because the gathering at Times Square is about as far from intimate as you could possibly imagine. So
that is true. The level of intimacy. My gosh. All right, so I'm assuming that we can just let that information go as that is, filigree, as they say. Something you put on something that has no structural meaning, but it's there to be pleasant to the eye and cozy things up.
Sure, which in this book is, that's the whole point.
Yes, so I'm going to just have to learn which are the mystery parts and which is the cozy part, and I'm just having trouble getting that down in my mind.
Yeah, we were promised dead kids. And
that's true.
And we were, not to, I don't want to have a lot of it, but we were also promised quilting, and there's not a lot of that has happened either. So
we'll get to it. Okay. We'll get there.
But yeah, so unless Ethan, winds up dead of an overdose while he returns home to college with Gwen, maybe that'll pay off. But you never know.
And Devin or Lindsay could be the killer, so keep that in mind.
Right. So yeah, we move on to chapter 4, where she returns home from her meatloaf lunch to find Gabe working on his guest list. She is instructed to call the pastor at St. Luke's to reserve the church, and does that. So that's exciting.
Yeah. Reverend Christopher Abbott, is that who you're talking about?
Reverend Christopher Abbott will perform the service at 11 a.m. on Valentine's Day. He did tell me.
That's working out.
Yeah.
See?
He'd like to have a meeting with us next week one day to discuss the specifics. By the way, maybe we should have looked at a calendar. Valentine's Day is on a Wednesday this year. And then, just stunning, first of all. But then Gabe says, oh my, now we really need to get the invitations out fast. People might have to take time off or whatever to find a way to get here in the middle of the week. And so,
wait, this is the first time it's come up the day of the week that their wedding
that it's the middle of the week. Like, sure, like if you're jetting off to, Vegas or heading down to the courthouse to just like, we want to get this done. It's just important for us to be married. That seems like a perfectly fine thing to do. But you're actually having a larger than intimate reception. It's just ridiculous.
Wow.
It's the level of the wedding in the Young MC song Bust a Move, where he's informed your best friend Harry has a brother Larry. So it's sort of introducing the same level of characters into this song. In 5 days from now, he's going to marry. He's hoping you can make it there if you can, because in the ceremony, you'll be the best man.
Oh.
So this is, it's pretty much that song, this book in rap form. It's a very soon happening wedding. There's peripheral characters, and he's being the best man in his best friend's brother's wedding.
Yeah, wow. Well, maybe that's the central mystery: is will the wedding happen?
I guess so.
We then get in this chapter just a bunch of coziness. Like Gabe literally falls asleep in a recliner with a cat on his lap.
That's his cozy rig.
Yeah, and then she feeds the cat, and then warms up some beef stew. So
They eat hearty.
Sauerkraut.
Yeah.
And pork and beef stew with biscuits.
Man.
So there's a lot of food in here.
When she's doing the parenthetical, the middle-aged spread happens to all of us. You've got a 50-year-old yoga instructor who's like, well, you could take some steps. I don't know. They haven't mentioned her workout routine or anything.
That's true. Then the information meted out in this, unless I'm missing it, and please, Connor, correct me if I'm wrong, this chapter is about eating beef stew and talking about the fact that the manager of the furniture factory is a redhead.
They also watch Jeopardy, but yes, you're correct.
There is no other information meted out in this chapter.
No, they made the wedding reservation, and then she's excited because Miranda's going back to work tomorrow. Lucy will be back tomorrow. Can't wait to hear how her trip to Jamaica with Adam went. Gabe looked puzzled for a second. So in this brief moment, Gabe is quite relatable.
Do you know who these people are?
No.
Okay.
But my guess is that since our character is a quilter who works at a library, so like cozy level, over 9,000. Lucy knew him in college, but Lucy must be a character from previous books, and I think it must be like Lucy the redhead because that's sort of like dropped in to this otherwise incomprehensible exchange. Lucy knew him in college, and he recently relocated to manage the furniture factory at the mall. I've been in there a few times. Hey, would he be a tall, redheaded guy? I got the impression he was the manager. I stared at him. Are you serious? He's a redhead?
This I will put down to has to be information in other books.
Yes, that's my guess.
Because she laughs. It did make me wonder, though, Gabe? What are you doing, man? You were in the furniture factory at the mall a few times, scoping out tall, redheaded managers.
Right. Getting the sense that he's the manager? Like, what does that mean? Is he berating other employees? Is he carrying a clipboard? Like, how do you give off the impression that you're the manager?
I don't know. But that is a sentence that it reminded me of. There's a comedian that we worked with years ago who was it was an anomaly because she was a very old lady, but she had some funny jokes, and one of them was about her husband recently said the most boring thing possible, and it was, a girl I went to junior high with recently got a job at the post office. And something about that made me laugh. That was a good joke, the way she delivered it. But
did she write this book?
Yes, exactly. Lucy knew him in college, and he recently relocated to manage the furniture factory at the mall. Pretty much qualifies as the identical joke.
Yeah, it's like you fed her joke into a neural network and it spit out this book.
Yes.
It reminds me of that line from Setting Up a Room where those characters are very much these characters, the two teachers in that short, the Riff-Trax short. But at one point in time, it's 20 minutes into this 30-minute short, and one of them just like is sort of like breaks the silence by going, I hadn't noticed that pegboard.
Yes. That's the level this is at. Right. We should speed this along.
I guess so. There's so much to talk about, though. But yeah, let's do chapter 5, and then we'll break for some fanfic before we actually get to the actual criminal. She gets to the library. She goes straight to Lucy's office to hear all about her trip to Jamaica. And then, so she gives a bit more background about how Adam wound up at the furniture factory. He grew up working in his family's construction business, but it wasn't something he wanted to do forever. He majored in secondary education when we were in school. He wanted to be a history teacher. When he didn't get a teaching job after college, etc., it goes on.
And then, and it's no pause. There's none of her like, I'd let her ramble on while I filed some books or something. No, it's just a continuous. After 10 years of corporate, he wanted to work in a store with experience on the retail end. Right. Oh my God! All I asked was how your trip to Jamaica.
Right. He quit the furniture store after he noticed a strange middle-aged man who kept going in the store without buying anything, staring at him.
Taking surreptitious snapshots with his phone. And
but then we get some more like vague whiplash, but also building her character. I love the smell of fresh printer's ink. Never get tired of that scent. Someone should totally put it into a candle or air freshener. There were 7 new releases. We ordered several copies of before Christmas, and they'd arrived over the holidays. So it really is just the internal monologue of a librarian as she goes about her day when the library is closed. So like the side work.
Yeah, that's it. It took me a while to figure that out, but obviously that's built into the quilting
cozy
verse.
Yeah.
Yes, that I didn't know. That I'm like, wait, she's going to the library. Oh, she works at the library. Ow.
Yep.
But it's kind of meted out in a way. What you missed, though, I just don't want to miss this, is while she was relaying to, what's her name, the worker, Amy and Adam? No.
Oh, brother.
Lucy.
Mm-hmm.
She relates to Lucy the size of the wedding.
Oh.
She says, was it, well, no, Lucy asks, how was the wedding? I need details. Was it wonderful?
Mm-hmm.
The answer is yes, it was. It was simple and elegant and intimate. So
it is. I mean, was there something like? I mean, was there a movie that made this a thing? Like, just like Hygge was a thing. There was like you'd see like a vanity plate that said Hygge. I mean, where did the intimate come from?
I don't know, but here's the beef that it comes from. It's nice to go to a wedding that doesn't get hung up on logistics and numbers and parking and all that stuff.
A typical concern of mine going to parking. That's amazing. Yeah.
So that's something, obviously, that is just a stone in her craw. Like, don't you dare invite me to a wedding where I have to worry about parking and numbers.
Well, it's like you always say, like, people do this to us all the time. We're like doing a live show or something, and you're worried about like either entertaining a live audience, feed going out to hundreds of theaters across the country, and then you get emails from people being like, "Where am I going to park before this?" You're like, I am trying to entertain people. This is like, what are you doing? Like, people all of a sudden become 10-year-olds where it's like, so how am I going to pick up the things? Like, there's a box office where traditionally you show them your name, and that's how you get your tickets.
How long is the show going to be? Like, we're going to get a babysitter. We've actually gotten those where you're like, if you think I'm answering you, this is the show day, sir. Yeah. We're going around the country.
Right.
Amazing.
But yeah, I guess it must be easy to have your to not get hung up on logistics when planning your wedding from 5 weeks out. It goes off without a hitch every single step of the way. When logistics don't exist in your cozy verse,
right?
So she heaps scorn on the world of ebooks. She also heaps scorn on people who donate money to the library. At least we are in the black right now, thanks to some last minute year end contributions. I know some of them were made for the tax deductions, but they do help. Settle down.
Right.
Firm settle down to the people donating money to the library if they're not for the reason you approve of.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what this chapter was trying to mete out either. Could you figure it out? I don't know what.
I just wrote down, get to the dead kids.
Because the end of the chapter is Lucy coming in and saying, can we go over the January calendar today? And so that's pretty much it.
Yeah, it talks about we provide services to our seniors and children. We do everything to serve all the town's citizens. We needed to think of a plan to draw the kids back to reading a hard copy. It's quite a mystery. But again, it's charming in that sort of charmingly inept way.
Yeah.
Well, is that it for that chapter?
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Well, we're about to get to the dead kids, but before that, let's read some
Well, this should be fun. The first one is always fun.
Yeah.
Have people figured out the thing yet? The thing to trick us?
Yeah. Have they mastered the author's voice? Certainly are things to seize on here, and also no idea where this is going to go, but we will see how you do. How you feeling?
I'm okay. Either way, this one I feel a little lighter about.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Right. Yeah. It's not people who have mastered the Clinian style, or it's more depressing. Like when you see a picture of like a 4-year-old smoking a cigarette, you're like, oh, they're just imitating a bad influence in their life, and this is more of like more charming. Let's do it. These are going to be 5 passages that are either from later in the book, or for fan fiction written by our listeners, many of whom are our beloved Patreon supporters. I think we're on I don't know if we've hit it yet or if we're on the verge, but hitting 800. We have 798. Man,
woohoo!
Yeah, we're gonna hit that 800 sometime soon. But yeah, you get bonus stuff. Meet the authors. We watched Fanboys, Ernest Cline's movie, on there live. That was quite an event. But all sorts of fun stuff. We did a Meet the Authors with Cole Stratton from Rift Tracks recently.
I've recorded a classical mini with Bill Corbett that I'll post this week.
People will love to hear that, despite that one guy. All right, so here we go. Number one. Oh, it's at patreon.com/372 pages. Number one. Later, while we were seated at the kitchen table with the small TV on the counter tuned into Jeopardy while we had some ice cream. I sure hope we don't get any visitors this evening. It's fairly obvious what we've been up to. I went to the refrigerator to get a pitcher of water. Do you think? Me in my pajama bottoms and you in your little silk robe? When I placed the pitcher on the table, he pulled me down in his lap and reached inside the loosely tied robe.
What?
Wearing nothing underneath. How on earth am I supposed to concentrate on Jeopardy with a naked woman sitting at the table? I stood and pulled my robe shut and tightened the belt. I went back to my chair. Well, if you can't control yourself, I will declare myself the winner of tonight's Jeopardy right here and right now. I guess I can make it through the game. He beat me, and yes, it was that dreaded world geography category that got me once again.
Wow. Well, I'm going to say that's fanfic. I think a person going too strong on the Jeopardy and too strong on the sauce, but we'll see.
Right. It just turned into full of a mister in the back half of it. Number two. Gabe set a plastic plate in front of me. Sorry, they were out of fettuccine, so I got you meatloaf. They did have breadsticks, though. I know they're your favorite. I smiled at my Gabe, though my heart felt so heavy. Wasn't it just yesterday that Zoe was babysitting Jenny while we double dated with the Heidells? Now I'm sitting in a hospital cafeteria wondering who put that junk in her. Diane wagged a breadstick at me. So, what's our next move, Cagney? I snatched the breadstick out of her hand and playfully took a bite. Well, Lacey, I think we need to call an emergency guild meeting to see if anyone knows anything about these poison pushers. She pulled out her phone and flipped it open. I accept this mission, she answered.
Oh, that is... Well, it's very well done, so I'll bite on it. I'll say that is real.
Okay.
and I love, if it's real, can I just say, I absolutely love the fact that Gabe's favorite food is breadsticks. So please be real.
Number three. My accordion folder was stuffed to the brim with medical autopsies, juvenile records from Martin and D'Angelo, and Martin's obituary from the Cutler Herald. Can't get this data put onto an e-reader, I thought to myself. Brittany was sitting on Queenie's red oak porch swing, slowly swaying back and forth. She turned to me inquisitively as I approached. Ma, you seem to have your hands full. Surely you didn't stay up too late putting your case together. Hi, Brittany. No, Gabe's been keeping me honest. He'd never forgive me if I overslept and we didn't have all our wedding arrangements ready in time for the big day. Well, you must fill me in on your working theory. I have so many questions. Of course, of course. Oh, but surely that can wait a few minutes. How was your Super Bowl evening? Quiet, finally. Dad and the boys were all over at the tavern cheering on the Eagles. They have the biggest screen in town, you know.
Oh, I think people are already on it. It's perfect. But I don't know. I'm going to say it's fanfic.
Okay. Number 4. I sighed happily. Was there anything quite as nice as drinking a warm cup of tea with a cat on your lap? Better yet, I had the most handsome man in the world right by my side. On top of him was a green and gold quilt that I had crocheted this morning. The phrase "True love lasts" was written on it, and I know that it was true. I knew Gabe was asleep when he gave no answer to a question about Germany on Jeopardy. Gabe spent time there when he was in the FBI, and I was sure there wasn't anything about the country he didn't know. When Mary and her boys John and Timothy went on vacation there, he talked their ears off about all the best places to visit. When John went off to a university in Germany, we all knew that Gabe was the reason why. My phone started ringing, and I picked it up to answer. Hello? Hello, Mandy, this is Diane. Are you able to talk? Of course, Dee. I'm just watching Jeopardy with Gabe. He's sleeping now. It's been a long day trying to stop all those drugs from coming in. Yes, about those drugs, Diane sniffled and started to cry softly. It's Jessie Smithin. She's in the hospital from an overdose. They tested her and found a huge amount of marijuana inside her lungs. We don't know if she'll make it.
Getting the Smithin in there was very, very nice. Well, look, it's already dartboard throwing at this point. Yes. Because it's just, this could be the easiest fanfic in the world to write. I confess, honestly, I have no clue. I'm going to say fanfic.
Okay. And here's the final one. Miranda Lynn Hathaway. Do you take this man as your legal spouse, partner in crime, and jeopardy opponent for as long as you both shall live? Gabe's eyes got big, and I grinned at him as the wedding guests laughed. I do, happily, with all of my heart. Will you, Gabriel Othello Downing, take this woman to be your legal spouse through all her adventures and her fabric obsession? This time I gasped, and Gabe grinned. I most certainly will for the rest of my days and nights. The minister pronounced us man and wife, and we smiled and kissed.
Oh, come on. See, this is, that's a tough one. Very tough. Because I was hoping his middle name, and now we're getting ahead.
Right, yes.
In an upcoming chapter, it was going to be Ogden.
God damn it.
But it can't be Othello.
I would have suspected a long con here if that had been the case.
All right, I'll say that that's real, just based on one of the upcoming chapters. But again, people are crafty right away. I have zero confidence in any of my answers. Let me just be upfront.
Okay. So the last one you said, okay. Did okay. Let's see. Number one was watching Jeopardy, naked woman on my lap. They'll know what we've been up to. Dreaded world geography category. You said fanfic. That is real.
What the?
They're a couple in love, and they're going at it frequently, I suppose.
So he's just pawing at that middle-aged spread.
Yeah, he's walking around in his pajama bottoms, like he's probably got a Hugh Hefner robe and stuff. She's got a little silk robe.
Oh man, okay.
Yeah,
well, this book has riches to come.
You devil, Mary Devlin.
Yeah.
Number two, this was the breadsticks and Cagney and Lacey. You said real. That was fanfic written by Josh.
Dang.
Breadsticks being a favorite is a very nice detail. And also the Diane having a flip phone, I thought was a nice touch.
Yeah. Wow.
So that's 0 for 2 so far. Yeah. Number three, this was going over to meet Brittany, who talked about watching the Super Bowl on the biggest screen in town. You said fanfic. That was fanfic written by David.
That was good because, Brittany is saucy.
And number four, this was the cup of tea in your lap. Diane calls during Jeopardy, the people in Germany, and the huge amount of marijuana inside her lungs. You said fanfic. That was fanfic written by Celia.
Okay.
And then number five, that was the wedding vows, the middle name reveal. You said real. That is real.
Wow.
Cynthia sent that in. I didn't want to spoil it, but I thought that you might have thought people would have speculated in their fanfic, so it was a little getting ahead of the mental games there.
Yeah, that's true. Wow. Okay.
So 3 for 5.
Othello.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which,
so 3 for 5 is pretty much right on track.
Yeah, overall, I think both of our averages are approaching 50%. So I think that will bump you up by half a percentage point or something.
Okay.
Well, good job, everybody. Thanks for sending that in. Send in more, and we'll be able to do a couple of them. So hone it well for next time.
But I assume that it is fun for everyone, and I don't want to say that it is easy because you have to weave the right elements. But it doesn't require that, like you said, slopping down in that Klein mud. You don't have to get down in that. You can just. You can talk about sauerkraut and pork, and I'm in.
Yeah, so, and just the ticks, just like listing characters is a fun exercise. Like, yes. I mean, and people latch on to the Jeopardy and intimate, and those are usually inclines. Those would be the signifiers, just like saying classic, which would be like, oh, that's probably someone exaggerating. But they just keep happening throughout the book. Like they had sex and watched Jeopardy again. It's only 150 pages. So yeah, it's good. I think it's got to be fun. It's not like the FBI agent who's trying to get into serial killer's head, who's like, you're in too deep, man.
Yes. Chapter 6.
Martin, subtitle.
Yeah. Now we're getting into it, my friends.
Yeah, this is the good stuff.
The inciting incident, as they say in screenplay writing, is coming up here.
Mm-hmm. And it's our first sort of glimpse into it's the first time anything has happened, but it's our glimpse into our three authors' views of the way the drug dealing works, and it does not disappoint.
I would say the thing that stuck out to me right away at the beginning, a petite blonde wearing a short dress and tons of makeup. That sounds like a judgment, but who am I to say? Right. Tons of makeup sashayed up to him and pulled him down for a hot, wet kiss, rubbing her body against his provocatively.
Whew.
I'd say the hot, wet kiss was fairly provocative. But
right, yes.
Then she doubles down with rubbing her body.
And
after all that sashaying and makeup wearing and short dress wearing, it's all pretty provocative.
Yes, exactly. And hopefully it gives us a taste of what we're in store for later with that pre-Jeopardy scene.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's Petite Blonde is a character in a bar, and she's being so provocative because she wants some of the drugs that Martin is dealing. Martin is our dealer here. He'd started out selling marijuana on the streets, but when those addicts upgraded to the more serious drugs, so did he, and there was a lot more money in pills. So it's got that good sort of reefer madness vibe right off the bat. Where these are not just people who are smoking weed, and watching a movie or something. They're actual full blown addicts who are copping it in seedy bars, as opposed to the guy in college who sells weed. Bored, naive, and willing to pop anything to escape their mundane existence. Its clients got younger and younger. So are we? Yeah, I mean, are they going to be dealing to Terry's newborn baby soon? But
they're getting younger and younger, yeah.
And now it was X and opioids. Martin does not imbibe in his own products, though, because he knew the first rule of dealing was never doing, which is sort of, it's paraphrased from never get high on your own supply.
Yeah, don't get high on your own supply.
The 10 crack commandments. Wonder if any of those will come back up. What else? I guess he's being pushed by the boss to make a connection at the high school. And then it goes into Nolan time again.
Oh, yeah. What's your first Nolan-ish thing?
Well, I didn't write down the whole thing, but it says like he noticed a nice-looking girl or something, and then or maybe it's a flashback. Either way, he sees someone at the bar, and then it cuts to them dating or something.
Oh yeah, this is just supposed to be a tumble of images that you see, a montage that you see in a movie.
Yep.
But she doesn't know how to do that, so it's just paragraph after paragraph with no separation.
Yes.
So you get to the end of the paragraph and you're like, where are they now?
Right. Yes.
I'll give you an example of how I have a paragraph that I just have written. So he's at a bar. He sees a woman. She was holding a glass of beer in her hand, but he could tell she hadn't had more than a sip. Wow, what a Sherlock Holmes there.
Because the glass was full, he noted.
Full, so. He licked his lips.
Ugh.
Oh, Martin, you're no Gabe. Always up for a challenge, he carefully worked his way over to her, trying not to be too obvious. Seems pretty obvious when you're licking your lips.
Yeah, you've just had a hot woman in too much makeup grinding on you provocatively too. So,
but then it just switches to this. I don't think this is exactly concurrent, but anyway, he played with her for a while. A student at community college, she was excited at the thought of dating an older man who had a job in an apartment outside of town. He took it slow, not going all the way with her. One night, she came out of the bathroom wearing a short skirt and low-cut top. He couldn't take his eyes off her. Her long hair was teased and piled on top of her head. Her eyes were lined in black, and her lips were coated in black lipstick. She slowly walked to him, never taking her eyes from his. What's happening? Where is this? Is it still the same woman? Is that is this Martin? Where are they? What's happening?
It was hard to process in real time, but yes, it's like you said. It's essentially Requiem for a Dream, where he's getting this girl hooked and sort of like she's undergoing this dramatic change because now she's like hanging out with a drug dealer. But we were never told what she looked like in the first place.
No.
So, I think we're meant to believe she's, sort of like wearing like, the either a like conservative slacks or like the Britney Spears innocent schoolgirl type of thing. But now she's as Ebony Darkness Dementia would say, she's totally goth.
Yes. But it seriously reads like this is happening now or something. But she should just really write, hey, this is a flashback, everyone. This is a flashback montage scene.
Right, yes.
And we go, okay, I get it. All
yeah, it makes you think they might have just like handed the book off between the sisters to like, you take this part. You write the part where he turns her into a drug addict type of thing.
Yeah, I don't like the parts about the drugs, but I like the parts about husbands reaching into bathrobes. Yes. So I'll write that part.
But so he gives the community college girl Jenny. Eventually, he let her have a tug on a joint of marijuana.
Yes, they're blowing pot.
They are. They're blowing it. She responded by removing her clothes and dancing across the room. So, I mean, she's not like playing the piano like in Reefer Madness, but it's pretty much the same thing. So, I mean, in his mind, mission accomplished. You've got a gorgeous naked chick in your room, but then he says he wrapped her in a blanket and held her while she slept it off. You buffoon. It was clear she had a low tolerance for drugs. Martin decided to keep her clean. So, I mean, when we read that this book was about three, middle-aged moms describing a drug epidemic, we could not have in our dreams prayed it would have gone as well as this. Tugging pot and then taking off your clothes and dancing. But then the guy being too concerned about that he's corrupting this girl.
I've probably brought it up on this podcast before, but my mom's version of that was she would warn me, because I went off to college young and everything. I was 16 when I went to college. Mm. She was like, you know what? You got to watch out for the drugs, because what the drug dealers will do, they'll tie you down and get you hooked on drugs. I was like, wait, what? I don't know where she heard this.
Oh my God.
My brothers and I would laugh so hard. Mom, I don't think anyone's going to be able to tie me down.
Right.
And then you're hooked.
Where could that have come from? I mean, that's that's like something you like, that Ralph Wiggum tells you on the playground or something. Like,
I don't know. It did not happen. I did not get tied down and get hooked on drugs.
Good, that's a relief.
Yeah, but that's about the level that this thing is working at. This was a little detail that just it's only indicative of the writing. I don't want to make it's not a big deal, but they drove through a fast food joint and got a takeout supper for dinner.
Okay.
And then they changed and dressed to go out. Do fast food joints like make takeout and supper? Is that what you call like getting a bunch of fries? And
yes.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. It's like the greasy sack of food. Supper has like that homey, cozy quality to it, in my opinion.
Yeah. Drive-thrus and or fast food joint takeout. Takeout, you always describe that as like that's more of a meal. Mm-hmm. And then supper. It's just a very strange
for dinner. Supper for dinner. That's the tradition. I rarely have supper for breakfast.
Anyway.
But that's that's what he's doing with her. Take out dinners, and then they're going out clubbing, dressed in her hot new outfit. But it says she'd never felt so alive. He made her feel like she was the only woman in the world. After they spent the day watching TV, making love, and eating pizza, he went to take a shower. That's all it takes. You don't have to like read poetry in the field like in Twilight type of thing. Just take out supper and then eat pizza in bed and doing it like.
And what is so? She's the contact to the other college kids. Is that what this is all about?
I mean, he's dealing to other college kids, but I think this is meant to just illustrate an after school special. This is Helen Hunt, jumping out the window type of thing. That this is an innocent person he's corrupted.
So here's also this. I found this Inception-y. Martin found himself actually caring about the kid. It was nice to spend time with someone who wasn't an addict. Some of the women tried to tempt him with offers of services in exchange for goods, but he turned them down. Some of what women?
Right. The blonde with too much makeup.
Once they'd made the rounds and his business was done, he took her by the hand. Let's get out of here.
God.
Where are they? Who are the women? What's he talking about?
We're back in the place he was in the middle, but now they're going to it together. It's very confusing.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, it's supposed to be a montage of a kid turning into a goth,
right?
By hanging around with Martin, who's a drug dealer, whose age I don't know. Do you have any idea?
It doesn't specify, and when you think about like the idea of a college student who's excited to date a townie drug dealer, that's usually not the top of the things that are exciting on their lists. So you have to imagine he's maybe only like 25 or something. You can't imagine he's, this 42-year-old who's going to push the drugs at the bar. It seems like that would be hard to get her excited about, but you never know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But anyway, it ends poorly, of course.
Yes.
For the girl, not for us. It turned out great for us because he takes a shower, and when he came back, she was unconscious. His small baggie of X bars lay open on the bed. She had clearly found the stash he kept on hand in case someone wanted to sample the goods. X bars, Mike?
I did not look it up.
I know you're not.
You did.
In your days of going to the bar and taking whatever a stranger offers you, but I've never heard that as a term.
Okay,
I don't know. I didn't consult Urban Dictionary, but it's probably something that they heard about. Sheila told Mary, who told Debbie, who told Beth that the X bars were the new thing that the drug dealers were handing out to the kids at the bus.
It is very much in line with the old cliche about, someone trying to tell you what drugs not to do and, amphetamines, Benny's, Jimmy John's, William Katz. I mean, these things are known by many names. And you're like looking at your friends going, what? No one's calling these. Where did you come up with X bars?
I mean, Xanax bar is on Urban Dictionary. 2 milligrams of Xanax that's shaped like a bar can be divided into quarters and abused by many.
Oh,
that's a definition from 2007.
So she nailed it.
I thought they were talking about ecstasy, so that's why
I assumed they were talking about ecstasy because she had X earlier.
All right. Well, I guess these three ladies are hipper to the streets than I am.
Yeah, they did their research.
But anyway, she snorts too many X bars, or maybe just to ingest them. And he does the classic thing that shows you're a coward of a drug dealer, where you take him to the ER, push him out of the car at the doorstep and speed away.
Yeah. And can I just ask, is Jenny because he says he's not getting her hooked, so she's just a normal person who went a little dark because she has an older boyfriend. But did anyone teach her not to just eat a bunch of things out of a baggie in someone's... What are you, a puppy?
Yeah, it doesn't specify that she's not a dog.
Yes.
That could be maybe why he's so entranced when she comes out wearing a short black skirt. He didn't expect the dog to be dressing
There's
up.
There's nothing in the rule book that says Jenny can't be a dog.
So a delightful look into, I presume, going to be one of our main antagonists here.
Gabe versus Martin is my guess.
But enough of that. In Chapter 7, let's get back to the wedding guest list.
The Macmillan chapter is what I call it.
They've made the curious, I Love Lucy sitcom-esque decision to both make their own guest lists and then compare them for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing the thing. They're being like, oh, well, these people will be disappointed if they're not invited, but they probably won't come, so we can add them and it won't make it too unintimate. Type of thing that shows they've planned some weddings, because I remember my mom saying that too.
Was your mom concerned about the level of intimacy and numbers and parking?
Evidently not, because they let us have invite 100 people. So if she
Ours was big, I think it was 300. Yeah, I didn't know how big weddings were and how it worked, so I'm just a bystander in my own event. I don't know what's going on.
300.
I learned, yeah, because and it was all people I didn't know, obviously.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. They're coming to they're parents' friends who were calling in, and former business partners and all that.
Yeah,
sort of
her dad
Godfather
was
style.
Yes, her dad was an Italian guy who was mayor of a small town.
Literally Godfather style.
Yes, exactly.
Wow. Did anyone ask him for a favor on that day? Like
on the day of his daughter's wedding? Of course. Yes.
But yeah, so yeah, the McMillans. It's they are, I guess, it's the McMillans and also Tom Gibbons. Which one do you want to talk about first?
Well, one of my favorite sentences, and then we'll get into it, is, and it's a standalone sentence. The shortest sentence in the Gospels is that Jesus wept, right?
Of course.
My favorite short sentence in this book is Peter, Irene, and Macy. Period. So I just want to get that out. That's all. If she beats it, she beats it. But right now, Peter, Irene, and Macy is my favorite sentence in this book.
When Paul and Mary overdosed on X-Bars and Peter had to form a new folk trio, he went with Peter, Irene, and Macy, and that just didn't work out for him. That was like Creedence Clearwater once Fogerty left.
But the McMillans I find a little... they both have intriguing traits. You talk about the McMillans, and I'll handle the other guy. Okay.
So the McMillans are just evidently just rich as hell. They have offered to. They don't know where the wedding is, but they say if it's in Boston, look, we'll fly everybody up. We'll put them up in hotels. And they are so generous in this department because Peter McMillan had hired Gabe as security for his daughter Macy, and Gabe ended up rescuing her from a bad relationship in Paris. Since then, the whole family had become our friends. So Gabe essentially Liam Neeson and Taken.
Yeah, it's Taken.
For Macy. Like, bad relationship, I am guessing they're using as the same euphemism as, middle-aged spread or, of a certain age type of thing. He went over there to the Czech guy that she was dating or something and just kicked his ass, beat up, took out a drug den, brought her back, type of thing.
I assume there were a lot of those, snapped necks from behind kind of thing.
Yes.
Crack, he's dead kind of. Yes.
Yeah. So that's just that's the sort of thing Gabe does as a favor to people. Oh, I guess they probably paid him handsomely.
Yeah, but he did so well. They're going to fly an entire wedding party up to Boston. That was the offer.
Yes,
and they say it was unbelievably generous is the understatement at the end of that. So on to Tom Gibbons.
Yes,
and to decide between these two, I don't know. Let the audience decide. Tom Gibbons had worked with Gabe together in the FBI years ago, and more recently, he'd been the agent who helped rescue Kevin and Terry from a hired killer at the hotel where Kevin worked. He'd contacted Gabe a couple of months ago when he was retiring from the FBI and said he wanted to keep in touch. You did rescue Kevin and Terry from a hired killer at the hotel. Let's keep in touch.
Right. And then Gabe forgot to put him on his list. Yes. She added Tom Gibbons to Gabe's list.
Yes.
So once again, the hotel manager's girlfriend, Rita, I think might have been. Mm-hmm. The hired killers usually just don't target low on the ladder people at hotels. So there's got to be something else going there. And I assume that has to be in the first 6 books. If not, it would be one of the greatest things to casually mention as an off-camera action in the history of literature.
Please tell me. I'm certain that each one is a book in itself of those two events. But if they are not, I will just golf clap for the next 10 years over that.
Right. Yes.
That is the best thing ever.
We just get some very colorful characters, hoping we get more of them. We get more information about Gabe, which is great to know as we see what his character actually does in this book. And then we get another dramatic chapter end. Kelly's is going to want a head count for a week or so before the actual reception. Okay, that's enough for tonight. It's time for Jeopardy.
Wow.
I don't. It's not gonna get old in 150 pages. That's for sure.
I didn't realize. I think I was maybe reading. I was entranced by other things. Didn't realize that it was their competition. I thought it was just a cozy thing. But it's more like it's Sherlock playing chess against Mycroft or something, like, right? You just do it. This is what they do every night.
Yes,
they take each other on. But
right.
It must have been filled out in other books, and it's just sort of alluded to here.
Do they get disappointed when they turn it on and it's like the teen tournament where they're like, well, this isn't any fun, like
right?
Are they? And it doesn't sound like they're doing the whole wheel Jeopardy block, so they have contempt for the dullards on Wheel of Fortune, I assume.
Right.
Well, chapter 8, we finally get to the quilting guild.
Oh boy!
But before that, the phone rings. I was wondering, like, is it going to be a member of the guilds in the ER, or the 4-star general friend of the ex-wife is implicated in a drug ring? Maybe they're shipping drugs inside the quilt somewhere. Like, that's how they're fencing them.
Yeah.
The trip to the printer was our top priority on Saturday morning. And the printer is where they go to get their invitations printed, and that provokes the whole question that was sort of touched on in fanfic, that she wants to know what Gabe's middle name is for the invitations, and he says he stammers and looks around everywhere but me. I don't have one. And she says, come on, everyone does. What is it? I am not telling you. So this is the international super spy who's gotten shot and, like, sutured his own wound shut, like, as the gunfire's raining past him, is embarrassed by his middle name.
And it's never come up.
Correct.
What is their history? I mean, they're getting married in a little while. I assume you knew Lauren's middle name. Or...
Yeah. I mean, you see their driver's license or their credit card when you order something or something like that. Like, it's very difficult to imagine, unless they met last week, that she would not know this.
It's also the coyness of it plays out oddly. Like, I'm not telling you, it's embarrassing, whatever. And then she says, does that mean that your middle initial would spell "oh no" or something like that?
Yeah, that would mean your initials are.
Wait,
and then they don't say it. They reveal it like 3 pages later that it's GOD. Which,
yeah, I guessed it, and then I felt stupid. I was like, well, could it be this dumb? That he just doesn't. But does anyone look at that and say, I don't see that when I say a name. I don't immediately do the initials and then mock them like I'm in junior high or something.
Well, unless your initials are like, Patrick Othello O'Brien and it spells out poo or something. Like, what? Why would that warrant a comment? Like, it's not like seriously.
I guess until you see them put together in their initials, but you don't see that in a wedding invitation.
Right.
I don't look at Miranda Lynn Hathaway and go, oh, MLH, that stands for,
right.
Mary Lynn Hell or something.
Yeah.
I don't, it's like, you don't start playing with someone's initials. Anyway, he's the guy who's snapped necks in Fallujah is too embarrassed to give his initials.
And then they pick their cards. They decide that they will go over their guest list again when they got home, which is reassuring because I was concerned whether the thesis advisor would be making it. So I hope we get to drill down on that.
Sure.
Then they go off to Queenie's where the Quilting Guild meets.
This is off the charts bananas. This is nuts.
Yeah.
I don't know what to... Again, because I'm not part of this, I have not read this type of fiction before, it took me a while to realize I was very disoriented by, wait, are we actually just going to hear everyone's Christmas story? And you bet your sweet ass we are. It is just everyone going around a quilting circle talking about their Christmases.
Yeah.
It was bananas.
It is like, I don't know. I feel we've done stuff like this before where it's like they are... The thing that they're there to do never actually happens. Like, Quilting Guild is just a gossip circle.
Yeah. It's crazy.
So it appears that Gabe is the only man at the quilting circle. And the rest of the people are Queenie, and we get to hear about things. Well, first they fill everybody in on the details of Kevin and Terry's wedding. There were fewer than 20 people there, included the wedding party. It was small and intimate, which is what they wanted.
And We're planning a small, intimate wedding, not quite as small as Kevin and Terry's, and then a reception at the Kelly room where we can invite everyone we want, which, as we already know, is genius.
Yes.
Or brilliant or genius. I forget that.
Even though it's on a Wednesday morning.
Yes.
So, yeah, they're splitting the atom with their definition. Small and intimate, not quite as small. It's
Yes.
And then so Queenie leads us off. Queenie's in charge here. This is her shebang. She taps a pair of scissors on her pin jar. Now, because it appears we won't be getting any work done today, I'm going to go around the room and ask you to share something about your holidays. I'll go first. So I was just hoping she was going to say, I went to a bar, sold some drugs to kids, and they died. And then what else? Sarah and Harriet.
Yeah.
They have quite the story.
Yeah, that is a puzzling one.
They describe Shelby, who's not in the guild, brings them cookies.
Our Shelby, they say.
Yes. Not related to them, not their daughter, not an adopted thing. Very puzzling.
So they are twins.
Twin sisters who live with each other.
Interrupted her by 3 minutes twin sister.
Mm-hmm.
Naturally, we invited her in for tea and some of her own cookies.
Yeah.
She told us about her new job at Sally's salon. And then I forgot to say she was wearing a nice pair of black slacks with a Christmas sweater instead of her usual jeans and sweatshirt. What is happening?
I don't know. I was going to say that the new look would make me suspicious that maybe Martin is involved, but
yeah,
she's wearing a Christmas sweater, so that's not the Requiem for a Dream transformation.
So they Gabe and she exchange knowing glances, and then the story comes that she's a worker at a donut shop.
She had come to Cutler from Florida and was a bit of a sad case. Her aunt and uncle ran the donut shop, and all of us who went there couldn't help but notice the disheveled, chubby girl with a bad attitude. Life had not been particularly kind to her so far. Well, it sounds like the townsfolk haven't been too kind either.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. And then, so yeah, absolutely no idea what to make of that. It sounds like it could easily be its own book. But then Judy Smithen gets up. Oh, Smithen was in the fanfic. I noted. Right. Yep. Judy Smithen gets up and just throws shade on the whole rest of the group. Judy Smithen spoke next. Okay, I'll keep it short.
Yes.
This could rend the quilting guild in half here.
Don't make her bang on that pin jar, for God's sake.
So just keep that in mind. She's going to keep it short. Tommy was home from college, and Jessie was here for a few days with her new boyfriend. It was the first we've met him, and I think I understand now why she hasn't been coming home much on the weekends. As most of you know, Tommy has been dating Julie Sorensen, but he broke it off, saying he's too busy with school and baseball to have such a steady girlfriend. I'm disappointed, of course, because Julie is such a sweet girl. It goes on as she keeps it short.
This was the one that I read just last night to Bridget. And I said, I swear I won't do this. But I read the whole Julie Smithen thing, and she actually sort of collapsed over on the couch with tears in her eyes. Going, oh my God, that makes me laugh so.
Everyone has kids home from college. They're all dating someone new or about to be married. It's just...
I'll read the third paragraph in Julie Smith and keeping it short.
Okay.
This was our first Christmas in our new home, and I really enjoyed decorating the old Victorian. We had a traditional family dinner with Taylor and Noelle as our guests. Noelle is obviously adorable, and it does my heart good to see Taylor so happy. First mention of Taylor and Noelle.
It'd be a fun game just to try to do this, in Nashville or something. Just start telling everybody about these people that they have no idea who they are, and see how long it takes for them to say like, what the hell is going on? Like, have you had a brain injury? Like,
but then it literally goes around the circle, and the same thing happens with everyone in their quilting guild.
Yes.
I mean, I could read the whole thing and it would be fun for me.
Because they talk about the other woman who came up in fanfic, the slight wisp of a woman who's pregnant with her third child.
Oh yeah, right. Yep.
But
that's what's her name? I had her name in the top. She was in the fanfic. Yeah.
It is. Brittany.
Brittany, yes. She's a little spitfire.
Yes. But yeah, it's just I don't know. It's delightful. I don't know why it's so funny. Just the characters we've never heard of talking about other characters we've never heard of. But it's
all right. This was a laugh out loud for me. I don't know what this means, but Gabe encouraged Queenie to tell them about the Christmas decorating contest. It so happened she'd brought the second place ribbon with her, and she held it up proudly. Okay, so this is Queenie. The weather had kept her from installing the amazing birdhouse that Max Ryan Sr. had built.
Oh my God!
Is that
implies the existence of a Max Ryan Jr. So he's at the top of my list now.
Is that I didn't look it up. Is that like an actual like birdhouse builder or something? Is there some reason?
And you assume she was talking about a Christmas decorating contest, right? Like the one Snoopy wins in Charlie Brown Christmas.
Yes, but she lost.
Bringing out birdhouses. Well, yeah, because she's decorating her house with birdhouses instead of Christmas lights.
But no, she didn't get to install the amazing birdhouse that Max Ryan Sr. had built.
It really is. It is a conversation on the phone with your grandmother, who just is my bless her heart would talk about our relatives in Oklahoma all the time that I'd met 4 times in my life, maybe.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. So it ends though with this chapter ends pretty fun thing. They feel they want to get a bowl of chili at the tavern.
Yeah, and the tavern is different than a diner, right?
Yes.
Where they had sauerkraut and pork and meatloaf.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Lizzie owns the tavern.
Yes. And she has quite a thing for our Gabe.
Yeah. I forget what she said to flirt with him, if you have it.
Take a seat anywhere, handsome. I'll be right with you.
Yeah.
She threw him a wink and took off. So he's standing right next to his betrothed.
Yes.
So Lizzie's quite a saucy. I'm sure she's snapping gum and whatever.
Yep. Uh-huh. But then, Miranda
he says it's always a good thing to remind you that you have, and then he waves a hand at himself, all this. So Gabe.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah. And then I clapped a hand to my forehead in mock disgust. Lizzie has always had a thing for Gabe. I really don't take it seriously, but we keep playing the game. So that sounds like they're going to be heating up some pizza before Jeopardy tonight.
That sure does. That's
Call me Lizzie. Yeah.
You want to get a heated up slice of all this?
Right. Yeah. It does. It invokes the 3 names on the cover yet again. I think we might have this in our future.
Wow, fantastic!
Book number 8 in the series. Our couple places a personals ad in that one section of the classifieds that always has the weird stuff.
Yes. All right. We have. We gotta finish this up.
Okay. Well, chapter 9 is Mr. Smith. But it's also good. Mr. Smith is a Wall Street stockbroker by day. But then on the weekends, he drives out to motels where he checks in under an assumed name, pays cash, always near the interstate to make it easy for his customers to come in and out. All
right. Here's the question. Is Gabe Mr. Smith or is Martin Mr. Smith?
No.
Okay. That was puzzling to me. So he works for Martin?
I think Martin is his... guy. It was alluded to that the big boss was telling Martin he needed to like expand into the high school or something, and so I believe this is the big guy. Martin is just sort of the guy who Martin deals the drugs in person. This guy is the supplier to the drug dealers.
Okay, all right.
And so I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit in the chapter. It ends with him. He cleans up the bathroom where he spent the whole weekend in. He's washed the temporary dye from his hair. He stops for gas where he tossed a bag containing the empty bottle of hair color remover, a set of brown contacts, a fake mustache, and a smashed burner phone. So when he walks into the tavern, we get a little more Christopher Nolan time. Gabe and Miranda are there dining, and he says there's a couple in one of the booths chatting. The guy gave off the air of cop. But then Gabe gets a case of the prickles and says, when you've been at it for a while, as I have, you develop a sense for the presence of a criminal. It's like taking a slight chill or the hair standing up on the back of your neck. I don't think it's Gabe's intuitive cop sense. You have a guy who's obviously dyed his hair and is wearing a ridiculous fake mustache eating dinner in this small town.
Yes.
And so it's like, does he go back to, Lehman Brothers on Monday? And like, has he ever forgotten to take off the mustache or like, doesn't get his hair all the way dyed? And they're like, hey, Phil, what the hell what are you wearing? We're meeting with the guys from, the Japanese stock market today. Like, you're going to scuttle the whole deal.
He walks into that meeting with the Mrs. Doubtfire costume on. Hello, my dearies.
So
Jim.
So he's going to great efforts to remain anonymous while being as ludicrous that he looks like a one of the Beastie Boys in this Sabotage video or something, a 70s cop.
Yeah. But it's really indescribable. I think you have to read it. You have to be reading the chapter to know how indescribably jarring that is to go from third-person narration of someone else to the conversation between them. Like, who's that guy? Like, wait, what?
Yep. He flashes back to leaving the office. First person of him walking into the tavern, seeing a guy who gives off the eye of cop. Cut to our heroes, their perspective. And then fast forward ahead to the end of the weekend when he spent all day doing his deals on Saturday.
I mean, look, it's a technique. I don't know.
Sure. Throwing all the magnetic poetry set at the fridge and seeing if that produces a readable book is a technique too.
Yes, it is. As we've referenced before, when we used to be able to watch MLB, but they wouldn't show the whole thing. You had to pick your own camera angle.
Edit the feed for you, yeah.
Yeah, so it was the same way. I guess you could make a baseball game out of that.
Yeah.
Jarring shots that you just pick at random. That's what's happening here.
Yeah, just in the middle of this tavern scene. Let's see what Martin's up to. Let's check in on the Smithen family. They do talk about... He's one guy tried to take his goods without payment, and so he made sure of sending out a picture of Carmen Rosselli with a bullet hole between his eyes, completely anonymously, of course, routed through several servers, but everyone who needed to see it saw it. And I was just like, oh man, we need to have these three authors talk about what they think hacking is like, because if they wrote like Digital Fortress, that would be pretty delightful too.
The beginning of that paragraph is a lesson in how to write a passive sentence. It begins, the story of the one guy who had tried to take his goods without payment had spread.
Oh my God.
Wait, what?
Sure.
Oh, okay.
Exactly. Yeah, you can suss out what they mean. I mean, it's not high level stuff, but it again is an exercise in writing in a style no one has ever tried before.
Yeah, but this is all happening because there's a new mall coming, right?
Yep.
And so there's more kids with a bit of money and little to do. So there's just kids wandering around, and so that's why the drug dealers are really honing in on this area because of the new mall.
Yeah, the mall's expanding and the college is growing is Gabe's theory. So
yeah, so there we go.
That's good. I'm glad they're in the one town in America where malls are really thriving. Brick and mortar retail in a mall type structure is taking off.
Sure. Well, that was Cutler of 2008 or whenever this was written.
I thought this was 2018.
Oh, good heavens! Sorry.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, 2018. I got him. I shot the other day in a former Nordstrom, and the Burlington High School moved into a former Macy's. But I guess all these department stores are doing fine in Cutler.
Yeah, things are killing it. Good.
So that's our introduction to, I guess, the main villain. I no word on who it's going to be. 4-star general, perhaps, but I think it's not as fun when we know that this guy's a Wall Street guy, because we haven't said, like, no one has introduced, their son's girlfriend's brother by saying he's a Wall Street executive type of thing. So we don't have a hint at who it might be.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know enough about Wall Street and being let's see, he's got a bachelor's degree in business administration, a master's in finance and investment. and then he drives to small towns. You got to be a little bit on call on the weekends. I know the market's not open, but there's a lot going on if you're a high. So I applaud his taking calls and answering things on his phone with the fake mustache from the Halloween store on. It's just like, it's impressive.
Right. Yeah. They get a call that like futures of, soy are really tanking based on some a new form of like insect blight that's discovered, and it's going to upend things, and he's trying to get the dye out of his hair before he pays in cash at the front desk. But
one of their angels died, the guy who's like 30% of their right. Now we got to figure out how to steer that with his estate and all of that. We got to keep that money.
Right. And also this guy is clearly not hurting for money, so he's doing this out of the love. He's selling drugs purely because it's what his passion is. It's like the reason these women write the book. And until we directed all the listeners there, they weren't making a ton of money, but it's a passion project.
Right. Some guys make birdhouse models of Victorian homes for Christmas ornamentation, like their father before them or like their son after them. But This is his hobby.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to the final chapter, because now the drama starts ratcheting up pretty quickly.
Now connections are made, so this is good.
Yeah.
And this is a fast and furious introduction of new characters, which delighted me as well.
Go for it.
Well, we have Betty Heidel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so she's working the reception in emergency room. Cuddling babies and doing basic night care was a treat for Betty. Yeah. Who's working reception. So I just want to point out that.
Right, yeah. So
Betty, stay on task.
Well, I think they've asked her to look at the babies, but like that doesn't give a new parent much reassurance if the woman answering the phones is all of a sudden like going in to take care of the newborns who are for whatever reason spending the night in the hospital overnight.
Well, I assume that task is given to Sammy is taking over.
Okay.
If that's how you pronounce it, Sami.
I think so.
Sammy, man or woman, don't know. So Sammy could be a janitor who's going up there, and then the janitor has to cuddle the babies and do basic night care.
No, Sammy, that baby is in an incubator. He was born 3 months premature. Do not cuddle that baby, Sammy. No.
Or at least put the mop down first, Sammy, please. All right, so we get that. This is a pretty short chapter.
Yeah.
But then Gloria calls her.
Oh man. Gloria is like, it's almost like an Austin Powers routine or something. Gloria calls her down to the ER, I guess, and there's a body on a gurney with a curtain over it. Mm-hmm. And Gloria does not handle this in the most sensitive way. Because it turns out, she says, she just calls Sammy down and says, you got to take a look at this. There were several IV lines running into the pale arms. All the monitors were beeping a steady rhythm. Betty pulled her arm free. You're freaking me out, Gloria. What the heck's going on? I'm sorry to do this to you, but I want you to take a careful look at her face. Betty moved to the head of the gurney and pushed the hair from the girl's forehead. A gasp slipped from her lips and her knees buckled. Oh no. Oh my God. No. It couldn't be, but it was. She picked up her granddaughter's small hand with its black painted fingernails. Could Gloria have handled this slightly more sensitively?
Gloria, you monster.
She didn't. It wasn't even the cliche of, I need you to ID the body. It was just like, check it out, your granddaughter OD'd and she's dying. Like,
hey, could you come down here a second? Just something to look at really quick.
She thinks it's a new, cat video or something that she's going to show her on her phone.
Yeah, something funny. Oh God, that's my granddaughter. Why, Gloria?
Right. I was cuddling
told
babies
me this on the phone.
Yeah. But then, but then she gets a call from her son, Archie, and says, do you want to read it?
No, go ahead.
She says, you and Janet need to come down to Community General as quickly as you can. It's Jenny. So Jenny, you look back, and that's the woman that was took off her clothes when she smoked took her first tug of a joint.
Yes.
It's Jenny.
It's the one that Martin didn't want to ruin, but kept her as his own.
Right. Yeah. But so, now she has black painted fingernails. Jenny's in her, Archie says, but Jenny's in her room at school. She called earlier to say she had to study all night and wouldn't be coming out for Sunday dinner. Betty lost her battle to hold back the tears. No, son, she won't be coming home for Sunday dinner. So Betty's just taking a little bit of Gloria's bluntness and is dishing it out now.
Right.
Man.
What was painful to read, because I think they have a slight discussion of like what happened, what are we going to do? Like, we have to get the diagnosis. We don't know what she took and all that. And as a reader, you're just going, X bars. She took X bars. Oh God, why can't they see?
Right. You would know exactly. They're going to have to wait for toxicology to come back.
Yeah.
But that might not be enough time. So.
Right. Oh, it's painful. I just made me laugh when Archie got called. Just like, as a new character.
And they mentioned his wife's name too. They can't even resist too in this most tragic of circumstance.
Archie, it's Mom. You and Janet need to come down.
It's pathological.
Oh, beautiful.
It's perfect. Yep. It's a delight. It's an utter delight.
I'm delighted.
Well, I think for next time we're going to read through chapter 21. That's another third of the book. We'll see how many more characters we get. We'll see how many more dead children. I mean, come on, college students. But we'll see if it does trickle its way down to the high school or something.
I'm going to guess the body count is low. I'm also going to guess more character names than War and Peace by the end.
Okay, yeah. What's your over-under?
Oh, I'm pretty confident in it. I'm going to, what do you want to bet me on it? I'll go 2-1 on it.
Okay. Well, we'll bet $10 then.
All right. Sounds good.
Well, what is your figure?
Oh, what is the figure is, okay, so I'll have to count it. I didn't finish the end of counting War and Peace.
Oh, okay. Just more when the War and Peace is the bet. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
But here we're at 60. I think War and Peace is over. It's probably like 140.
All right. Well, I mean, it's on pace then.
Yeah. So I think we'll make it, but we'll see.
All right. Well, let's finish with some dumb sentences.
A sentence begins with a capital letter. A capital letter is a letter that's big. A capital letter is not a small letter. A capital letter is big, big, big. A sentence ends with a period, or an exclamation, or a question mark.
Did people have a field day with this one?
Oh, people went nuts, yeah, and a lot of options and a lot of repeated ones. So we'll have to get through them pretty quickly, but let's do it.
Okay, yeah.
Ben, it was quick work to pull the trays of snacks and fruit out of the refrigerator and arrange them on the dining room table, buffet style, and add the drinks. And he said, "I hate it when taking food out of the fridge and setting it on the table becomes a long chore." Jenny and Elizabeth submitted your early on one where it introduces every single person who is attending the wedding. Mike submitted, we put on our winter coats and walked arm in arm down the street and up the sidewalk. And he just said, it sounds like they're walking through an M.C. Escher painting. Let's see. Aaron submitted, Britt is our youngest guild member, a little slip of a thing, who amazingly has 2 kids at home and is almost full term with a third. And he just said, if she's a slip of a thing at full term when she's not pregnant, she must basically be 2-dimensional, which would help her walk up a street and then down a sidewalk. Mm. Let's see what else we have. Amanda and Billy both submitted, I clapped a hand to my forehead in mock disgust. They just wondered, is this what she thinks a facepalm indicates? Like, in this case, the book has caused me to express mock disgust repeatedly. Jen's submitted, this is regarding Jenny in the hospital. It was beating so slowly he couldn't count. She was burning up. So a lot going on there. Trevor submitted, thank you, I said, concerned about what came next. I get what she's trying to say, but the way she frames it makes her sound clairvoyant, which made me hope this was a witch subgenre cozy for 2 pages.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
That would be a nice twist.
Yeah.
Let's see. Balaji submitted, a round of applause broke out, and Brittany, parentheses, who has never been mentioned up to this point, shouted hooray. Which was, I went back and looked, that was Brittany's introduction. She had not described how she spent her vacation. She just stood up and shouted hooray. And yes. Balaji said, of course she did, fucking prep. Heather submitted, she is the owner of Queenie's Quilt Shop, which is the only quilt shop in town. Just good information to meet out. Janelle submitted, this is at the bar where Martin is working. Some were smoking, and it wasn't all cigarette smoke. So they're pretty bold at these Pennsylvania bars.
Yeah.
Hayden submitted, tears threatened, but I tried to blink them back. And he says, to say that they threatened is to imply they did not actually come, but then you said you tried to blink them back, implying that you failed and they did not come. Which is it, lady? And then Rachel submitted, it's hard for me to accept that many children will never know the thrill of the cracking a new book, the smell of paper, and ink wafting up. And she just said, this woman apparently saw those boomer comic strips about kids not knowing what books are and took them seriously. A friend recently asked us to lend her any children's books we may have lying around to her 2 young kids because so many people have been checking kids' books out of the local library during the pandemic that it essentially ran out of them. So rest easy, Miranda. The kids are all right. You got anything that we haven't covered?
I do. I get to break the rules.
Yeah.
It's not a sentence. So here's, you like, ? Yes, period. He commented as he gently ran his finger down her cheek to her neck. So I just wrote, we'll never know what he commented, I guess.
Right, nice. Wow, yeah.
Misplaced period there.
Well, I got this one, and it was shared by 3 different listeners, Emma, Tom H., and Con, all sent in. I smiled, thinking that could be applied to more than simply meatloaf.
Wow, how did I miss that?
Yeah, it's got some good robot pimp potential.
Wow. Read it one more time.
Well, she says, absolutely, period. I smiled, thinking that could be applied to much more than simply meatloaf.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So hopefully that comes up during a Jeopardy session, maybe.
That is a beautiful standalone sentence. Mm-hmm. Wow.
All right. Yeah. Great dumb sentences. Great fanfic. We got some good emails, but we'll have to do a mailbag because we are out of time.
Yeah. As you can tell, we're delighted by this. This is a lot of fun.
I can't wait to meet more people. Hopefully some of them die.
Yeah. Who's going to be who of the quilters is going to be the hero? I can't wait till the quilting army with Queenie at the head, kind of like a Lord of the Rings thing, leading the charge against the army of pushers. That's going to be great.
Tapping her knitting needles. Brittany, turning to the side so they can't see her.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Patreon people.
Absolutely.
Look for all the extra stuff that's going to be meted out there. It has been and will be more. So we thank you for that. Thank you for your support.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks for listening, everybody else.
So long.